It's illegal to sweep yard debris into a catch basin. It causes water pollution and sewer backup. Use biodegradable bags or redistribute lawn and leaf clippings for fertilizer. If you see someone dumping waste into a catch basin, report it immediately. Remember, only rain down the storm drain.
Welcome to Community Spotlight. I'm Leah Haslage, and with us today is the president of the NAACP Cleveland Branch, Michael Nelson. Welcome, Michael.
Well, thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the Cleveland Branch of the NAACP.
You know, our chapter is 103 years old now, and ironically, a group of Cleveland postal workers were actually the organizers of the Cleveland Branch NAACP. I found that out in a rather unusual way. I was meeting with the union leadership, and we were looking at some documents. And while in the room, we saw this photo, and it wasn't a photo, it was like a depiction. And they were actually organizing the Cleveland chapter. So it's Cleveland postal workers who really put this chapter together. And over the years, our NAACP chapter has been in the forefront of many, many progressive movements. Integration of the phone company, with former Councilwoman Arthur Woods, the Cleveland school desegregation suit back in 1974, which is Reed versus Rhodes, recruiting African-American police and fire so that we could integrate the safety forces in Cleveland. So we have a long history of success, progressive success in this community.
What programs and opportunities does the chapter offer to our viewers at home?
Well, you know, what the NAACP does is its mission is to protect the civil rights of African Americans and other people of color. And that's what we do. That's our job. It's a difficult mission, but like many other organizations, it is a mission that we're sort of the point of the spear. So if there's a problem with job discrimination, if you have an issue with employment or you're being discriminated against in terms of getting contracts, obviously we know about the police issues. In education, any area in which you're being denied an equal opportunity where you are qualified for a position, if it's housing and you're discriminated against in housing, we are the go-to group for those kinds of activities. We litigate, we try to negotiate, and if negotiation is not successful, then we litigate. That's what the NAACP does. That's its mission.
Now you mentioned jobs. Talk to us about the economic development, the business development in the African American community here in Cleveland and through the NAACP.
Well, you know, our community, like many Midwest Rust Belt cities, has suffered significantly from the decline in industry and manufacturing, which means that our communities, the poverty is just excruciating. And what we're doing with the NAACP is trying to create job markets by recruiting corporations, companies to come to this community, and taking advantage of our workforce. We have an excellent workforce. They just need an opportunity to go to work. Right. So what we're trying to do is work with our chapters around the country when we become aware of organizations that are looking to relocate. You know, we're sort of ambassadors for the city of Cleveland. In addition to that, we want to make sure those businesses that are here get an opportunity to participate in the economic renaissance that is taking place. It is undeniable that our downtown Cleveland corridor is a booming corridor. Yeah. There's been billions of dollars of reinvestment. We want to make sure that African Americans, both contractors and employees, are able to take advantage of that opportunity in terms of jobs and other contract opportunities. One of the things that we can say, for example, the new Hilton Hotel, outstanding record of minority participation both on the employment side as well as the contracting side. And it's these types of things that the NAACP likes to promote. Not only do we litigate, we also try to help people to avoid litigation. And that's an excellent example of cooperation in our community.
So if someone at home is an entrepreneur or just looking for work, they can reach out to the NAACP and say, how do I go about doing this? How can I set up my business or find a job?
Ironically, our acting executive director, Arlene Anderson, actually is an individual who helps monitor minority employment, especially on many public projects. So by calling our NAACP office at 216-231-6260, asking for Arlene, Arlene is a ready resource. In fact, that's what she does. So even if it's not an NAACP project, because of our relationships with other individuals, we're able to offer services on a tangential basis. And that's the benefit of being connected with the NAACP, the fact that we have a broad range of relationships in our community.
Now, one relationship I know that's always looking for opportunities, whether it be part-time jobs or just activities, is our veterans.
Yes.
So what programs are offered for them?
Raleigh Clemens, who's our chair of our Veterans Committee, right now he's working on some projects trying to get veterans not necessarily job opportunities, but medical attention. One of the things that our veterans suffer from is a lack of medical attention. Even though we have one of the best VA hospitals, the problem is that it's under-resourced. For example, if an individual needs hip surgery, we only have our VA hospital only has one person who does hip surgeries. Mm-hmm. So our chairman of our Veterans Committee is trying to cut through some of the red tape to make sure these services reach the actual people who need those services. And when we talk about resource connection, the fact of the matter is that we are confronted with a huge bureaucracy. And the VA hospital is a huge bureaucracy. But by having an individual such as Raleigh Clemens working through that bureaucracy, it helps to help cut through the red tape so that services can get to those who actually need the services.
Are there services for our youth as far as after-school programs or outreach within the schools at all?
Well, we don't have an outreach program. What we do have is a youth council. And our youth council is composed of young people, teenagers who become part of the NAACP training program. Many, including myself, many of our leaders in this community have come through NAACP youth council programs. My son was in the youth council at an early age. Right now, our chapter's reorganizing that. The way to get involved in that, of course, is go through our office, but they actually go into schools, work with our colleges and universities. And they just came back from our national in Cincinnati, where we have an academic Olympics, so to speak. And that academic Olympics involves young people participating in science, technology, and cultural activities. So this is the way that we reach out and work with our young people.
So you said you yourself was in the youth program, and your son?
Yes, I was in the youth program. He was in the youth program. The youth council is a training ground. It's a training ground. Former Mayor Michael White, a product of that youth council. And the youth council is important because if you know the history of the civil rights movement, in the Deep South, because the adults were foreclosed from doing a lot of things because of threats to their job, even though they were sharecroppers or had minimal types of jobs, youth councils were the groups that actually ran a lot of the voting rights activities, and they actually were the point of the spear, and I like to use that term, but they were the point of the spear in ensuring that a lot of our civil rights activities were successful.
What did you learn the most from the program?
Organizing. And you got a sense of the civil rights history. See, one of the things that the young people suffer from today is a lack of sense of history. So a lot of the things about black history is not necessarily taught in schools. You have that Martin Luther King Day activity, but our history is much too deep to be taught in a 1 month or 1 day activity. Yeah. And one thing that the youth councils did was connect young people with the deep history of African Americans in this country.
Now you mentioned voting.
Important, most important.
Very, and how is the Cleveland branch working right now to encourage people to register to vote and get out and vote?
Angie Woodson is our political action chairperson. She's running seminars, doing weekly meetings, vote education vote education meetings and seminars. She actually has booths set up at the various community activities. During the past election, during the prosecutor's race, she set up what they call a marketplace, where she invited all the candidates to come out, and they had to actually set up booths where people could do one-on-one with them, and we did that over University Circle, United Methodist Church. We have a similar program coming up at the Boys and Girls Clubs in the coming weeks, and this is an opportunity to connect those people who will be registering for the first time, but more importantly, to make sure we can follow up on where they go, because one of the problems we have is people register and then they don't vote. In the last election, we had over 500,000 people in this county sit out to vote. And remember, the NAACP is not just Cleveland. We are everything. We're the organization for this entire county. And we look at our voter drop-off countywide, there were 500,000 people who just said, I'd rather do something else on election day. So we have a big job ahead of us, but we're going out doing education, doing one-on-one and small group orientation so people can once again get enthused about voting.
Why do you think they sat out?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. Apathy. Our community is beset by apathy. And then people sort of have seen the conversation amongst politicians and been just frankly turned off. And then they're not really satisfied with what they've been getting out of the political process. But what we're trying to tell people is, look, for example, don't sit out the presidential election because you're also voting for Congress people. And that, remember, whoever the president is going to be appointing Supreme Court people. If you're in the health care, whoever the president is going to be deciding what your health care is. So there are significant issues, and we're trying to connect them with those issues so they can see it's not just about the personality, but it's about the product and how politics actually impacts your life. It's too important to sit out.
I completely agree. People forget about the checks and balances that gets involved in it.
And millennials, you know, we have millennials questioning the process. But one of the reasons that the process is like it is because millennials have set out the process. So you don't sit it out and then wonder why it doesn't work. You have to get in the nuts and bolts of it to make sure that it works. So it's extremely important that our community is engaged and goes to the polls.
Yeah, that's why you need to get out and vote.
That's right.
It's very important.
That's right.
Now, what other programs and opportunities and initiatives are being offered throughout the year at the Cleveland branch?
Well, as we indicated, our primary mission is civil rights. That's all. That's what we do. And whenever you see us veer off, it's because we're out of our lane. Our lane is civil rights, and that means education. So we're holding, like I indicated, we're holding the voter registration and education products. We've also had numerous seminars on issues that have forums on any issue of importance to our community. Why? Because it's key. It's key that people are intelligent. No matter whether you're for something or against it, at least know why you're for it or against it. So we're having a number of seminars, a number of workshops on activities, the minimum wage issue, so people at least understand. If you're going to be for it, know why. If you're going to be against it, know why. So these are the kinds of issues that we're involved in, and it's key that people are fully aware of what those issues are about. Get in the nuts and bolts and understand them. We have a number of fundraisers coming up. We have our first Hatitude activity, and the Hatitude activity it will occur after this show, but it's an indication of what we're trying to do in order to reach back to the community. We have a Gospel Fest that's coming up, huge Gospel Fest. Why? The civil rights movement in general was born in the church. It may have been founded by individuals in their homes, but the people, the connection to people, came through our churches. And it's important that the NAACP reconnect in a real way, not just having ministers on the board or come to meetings, but we actually go into the churches and show our appreciation for the support you've given us in the past. And it's the one place we can go where we can actually share the message, where people can become informed about what the NAACP is all about, what its missions what its objectives are, and actually get involved with the NAACP.
And of course, TV20 will be there to cover it.
Oh yeah, well, all right, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You're part of the message, see. So, and we've got to make sure our young people know what their history is all about. Okay, so that's important that you're going to be televising that. And
lastly, but very importantly, you have a membership program that is offered, and you have a few different levels. Talk to us about your membership program and what is offered.
You know, the Cleveland NAACP and Detroit NAACPs were the organizations during the civil rights movement that actually provided financial support. Everybody got arrested in those civil rights marches in Selma and in Mississippi and in the Deep South. Cleveland, Ohio, and Detroit provided the bulk of the money to get them out of jail, to post their bonds, because of our strong union relationships, but more importantly, because of our memberships. We had huge memberships. Detroit's membership is maintained. Cleveland's membership has dropped off. We just have to be honest about that. Well, by revitalizing our branch, reconnecting with our community, holding these activities that the community can touch, is giving us an opportunity to reach out and rebuild our membership. Frances Blount, who's very well respected in this community, is the chairperson of our membership community. We've added about 700 members since October. Our memberships range from the $15 of the youth memberships to a basic membership of $30. Now, at $30, you really can't afford. $30 does not really give the organization enough money to really work with, but we want to keep it affordable. It's an annual membership, and they get a copy of the NAACP's Crisis Magazine. Then the next step up is our life membership. Life membership can be paid in 10 years. It's $750, but it's payable in minimum increments of $75 annually, or you can pay it all at one time. But it's critical that our membership drive is successful because it's the way we speak. The fact that we have critical mass gives us the ability to speak on issues. And because it's affordable, it makes it easy for everybody. Not a single person I know is beyond $30 for joining the NAACP. And the fact that you get your magazine back, you get more than your $30 because you get the magazine subscription is worth $30 by itself. So that's a key issue. And once again, membership information, 216-231-6260. We just need to keep pushing that out. And Frances Brown is our membership chairperson.
Anything else that you think that we should know about the chapter here in Cleveland?
Not only are we problem solvers, we also try to prevent problems. So if you are a company and you have some issues with diversity, call the NAACP. Call us, and we can help you avoid problems, it's much easier to avoid problems than it is to litigate and correct them after the fact. So we're available, we're a ready resource, and we want to make sure that our community continues this renaissance. And one way we can do it is by making sure we have inclusion, and the NAACP is about inclusion.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Nelson, for being here with us today on Community Spotlight. It's been a pleasure. And for more information, make sure you call the number on the screen and the website below. Again, thank you to our guest, Mr. Michael Nelson from the NAACP Cleveland branch. I'm Leah Haslage. Thanks for watching.